Just bought ourselves another 2010 Ford Transit Connect in order for running our tools and our dogs and stuff around. This one came with the factory mat in it, and I think moisture was getting trapped underneath this and causing rust. So we hauled this out, and the floor rusted out really bad all along here. This band here that held the flooring down, that's all rusted out. This is all going to go today. We're going to start grinding this down and see how the floor looks once the rust is off. Good news is it looks like we still have some solid metal there. It hasn't rusted totally through. Next, we're going to try to take this bar off here that was holding down the factory floor mat. These were screws, but the heads are completely gone on them, so we're just going to try to grind the head off. That's back on, out of our way. That's what was left of the rubber mat. That's going to make it easier now to sweep everything out and to grind all the rust off of here. So less of this that's flying around when you're grinding that stuff, the better. Back at it. Let's see, I got a lot of rust here. I'll be hours at this today. I think I'm likely just going to do the entire floor and grind down everywhere, including where there's paint. And that should get rid of any grease and dirt and stuff that's in here as well. We'll start with the floor like that before we go and prime it. Thankfully, again, I do have solid metal still here on the floor. This wire brush I was using yesterday got the worst of the surface rust off, but now I'm using this wheel here to grind right down to the bare metal. So this is after the brush hit, and this here is after I hit it with the wheel, and it's coming out shiny metal. So we're going to go with this now and go right over all these rusty areas, try to get it right back to bare metal, and then we can prime it and go from there. What a difference after the wheel hit this. I'm really getting the rust off now. I've got some nail polish remover here that has acetone in it, and that stuff should degrease the metal in here. And then once I got this cleaned up a little bit, I can see what I'm left with for rust to grind off. Yeah, unfortunately, there's all kinds of grease in here. Here and in here underneath this cover is where the back seats used to bolt in, and Ford had a 25% tax on cargo vehicles coming into America, and so to get around it they originally built these to have rear seats, and then when they got imported into the States they take the seats out and destroy them and then sell the vehicles as cargo vans. I'm about to take out this here caulking that they had so that we can grind out the rust that's in here as well in this channel. I'll buy some white caulking and do this all over again after it's been painted. Okay, so I ground this down with the wheel as much as I can, and I've still got some rust and pitting in here. I'm going to go over it one last time with the brush and try to get up as much as I can before I hit this with some kind of a primer. I got two different types of primer here, and I'm honestly not sure what would be best. One is automotive self-etch primer. The other one is this Rust Fix that supposedly turns rust into a black primer. I'm going to try this stuff, I think, because I do still have pitting all through here. And we're going to see how this works out. Last night, I put this rust fix over all the areas that I had ground down to fairly bare metal, just to ensure that it didn't oxidize and start rusting again. And this morning, it looks like it all turned to like a rust color. I'm going to go at this again and grind this all back down to bare metal. I finished grinding at this, and I got to draw the line somewhere, or you know, I could spend days and days at this to try to get it perfect. I vacuumed it all out. I'm doing one last wipe down with the acetone, and that's just to get everything cleaned up. You can see stuff still comes off of it, and then once I'm done wiping it all down, we're going to do our first coat of primer. These holes here, I'm going to have to do separately with a Dremel, so I'm just not going to worry about those. But it seems like rust gets trapped in those. And right here you can see it actually, the corrosion went right through the metal in that spot. But otherwise, the floor is pretty solid. I've cleaned it all out really well with the acetone, and we're ready to prime. I'm going to use this here automotive primer and do the entire floor now. We're at the end of our day. It's not a great night for painting, and I just played a game of soccer against Leo and lost. But it's only going to take me a minute to do this, and the wind will carry these fumes away. I'll let this air dry for a little bit and then close the doors up for the night. I'm trying to get this project done so that I can actually start using the van. That's why I started with the floor. But given the amount of rust there is on the floor, there's a chance that there might be a leak somewhere around maybe the light at the roof. And so the next project is going to move up to the roof of this. We've got some rust to grind off, and there I think I'm going to use a truck bed liner over the roof once I have it all done. And we'll redo the caulking around the lights and things to ensure that there's no leaks going to come down here on the floor. With the floor, I'm just going to leave it painted white for now. And over the next year or so, we'll see if any rust happens to come through or if I want to do any more work to it. I thought about using the truck bed liner in here, but I'm afraid of what that's going to do to seal it. Besides that, we have a thick rubber mat that I'm going to put down here to protect the floor of this. Floor turned out great. I'm just applying the caulking again here that they had along these seams. With these tie downs here, I got into all kinds of WD-40 and all kinds of heat, and this one's finally coming up. I'm going to need two hands so I don't strip this. Okay, we got success on this side here. Yeah, after hitting that with the Dremel for a while, I think that's as good as it gets. We're going to try now that rust converter paint over all of this, and then put a few more coats of paint on it before we set our cargo hooks back down in place. These Ford Transit Connects are very practical little vehicles. They've got spots for cargo hooks all over the place really in the back of these. That'll help you strap down things like motorcycles if you want to load one in back. And I was able to work the ones out of it just to get them cleaned up. You can see there's all kinds of corrosion there around the bolt. So we're going to clean it up and put some grease back on it to put it back in place, so that if I ever have to pull them again, they're going to come up a lot easier than what they did this time around. See the rust coming off of it. I'm going to use my utility knife to try to get right inside the grooves here and get all that rust out. This cargo hook goes back down in here, and I've started doing this anytime that I put a bolt back into something. I'll put grease on it, and I think that helps prevent corrosion. Makes it a lot easier to pull it back out later. Here on the wall, you can see there's spot for tie downs here, 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 and here, as well as the one that's down here in the floor. So those tie downs are really practical to have in the back of the vehicle. Excellent feature. We've reinstalled the covers here where the seats used to bolt down in. And then because there are no seats, Ford built this piece here to extend the floor out in behind the front seats. Back here there's room for your jack and tire iron. And then there's a cavity in under here where I've put a little tire gauge and pump on this side. In behind the passenger seat, I use this cavity for tie-down straps and a 1/8 ball hitch if I have to go and change that from my 2-inch. Not that a Ford Transit Connect has a lot of hauling power, but we've installed a trailer hitch here. Gives you some flexibility for moving around things. Now, because of that, we couldn't put the tire up underneath anymore. Those are a real hassle regardless when you go to change a flat tire. So here's where we mounted our spare tire. I needed a welder to make a bracket in there. And then we used the piece that you would use to mount a spare tire to a trailer in order to mount our tire onto the bracket. So that makes that a lot more convenient to access. And our floor project now is completely done. Very happy with how the floor project turned out. There's just one more thing now I like to do to try to protect all of this from my dogs coming and going out of the back. Incredibly heavy rubber mat goes in here. It's 1/2 inch thick. It gives you some padding and it protects the floor from any scratching.